Alicia. My name is Alicia. 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 The other sounds that you're hearing are from Siddiqui. Siddiqui. We are acute inflections. A duo of voice and upper bass, dub bass, string bass, contra bass, standard bass, but not the cello, not the cello. I hope you're ready for us to let's plan your wedding event. I hope you're ready for us. Let's plan your wedding event. Hosted by Opulence Events by Gracie. Say hosted by Opulent Events by Gracie. Yes, by Gracie. We're gonna begin with this tune. Yeah, yeah. Let's begin. Let's begin with a little bit of jazz. Ooh, never know how much I love it. Never knows how much I care. When you put your arms around me, I get the fever that's so hard to bear. You give me fever when we're kissing, fever when you hold me tight. Fever, yes, yes, my love. Ooh, now you listen to my story. Here's the point that I must make. Just supposed to give you fever. They get very high centigrade. They give you fever when you kiss them. Fever when you live in love. Fever heart. This is oh, what a lovely way to burn. Whoa, 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 what a lovely way to burn. What a lovely way to burn.
Everything is going so well so far. Welcome in, everybody, to the Let's Plan Your Wedding event that is fired up and powered by Opulent Events with Gracie. She's been doing a wonderful job. This is going to be so great. This is the evening time. Come join in with us. Let's give it up wherever we are. Clap your hands right in the comments. Let me see some hands clapping for Acute Inflections. They gave us wedding fever, if you will, for tonight. They are a New York sultry duo. They are led by a former Broadway singer. You know how she gave us the red on tonight. They say on the Wiz, I wouldn't be called dead red, but she gave us the red, and she was drop dead gorgeous in it. They can usually be found entertaining their clients like United Nations and Mercedes-Benz at high-end events all across the country. Okay, let's tell you about me a little bit. If you're meeting me for the first time, I am Queen Afton Williams, born and raised in the beautiful city, the vibrant place that is known as New Orleans, Louisiana. Born and raised there, love it. I'm currently residing in Atlanta, Georgia, but will come to you wherever you are, host your great event, or give you some management through my company, Royalist Management, where we help to manage people's personal, private, and business affairs through the structure of organization and administrative execution. I would love to help you further your mission and your vision and lock arms with you every step of the way. Yes, I am the reigning Miss Royalty International Georgia, but I'm going for the national title in July as Miss Royalty International. I hope to represent well. We are going to have a magnificent time. I have so many other things that I am doing, but today I am your royal room shaker, and we are going to keep this great event moving, fired up, and ready to go, giving you a wealth of knowledge and beautiful information to help you further other people's wedding day or to make your wedding day the most special one it can possibly be.
I'm happy to start. I think there is a change in the experience. I think that we've all kind of had a whole new circumstance given to us with COVID, and it's made us think, it's made us take a step back, and it's made us reevaluate what we are doing and how we are doing it. And I think because of that, when we do weddings, they are more intimate, they are more personal, they are more towards setting goals for each individual person that comes to that wedding, and making it so that those people really are completely and 100% immersed into everything that that bride or that groom is doing.
Is a little different, and we have to just embrace that and go with it. And whether that means, you know, adjusting what you were planning originally, something smaller, something more intimate. Certainly, I think everyone's understanding the value of making it personal and meaningful. And that's something I think is a wonderful thing.
Totally. And yes, I have to definitely chime in with the ladies and just say, you know what, true love conquers all. And whatever the ultimate end product looks like, if you are with the person that you want to be with, you are joined in union, and you have a celebration that you love, oh my gosh, it can just be absolutely spectacular. So COVID or no COVID, true love conquers all.
Pods. You know, before we had cocktail parties and everybody was mixing and mingling, and you put 150 people smack dab in the middle of the lawn. And one of the biggest things that came out of this was all these little intimate vignettes that we've been able to create and customize for all of our couples. And it's here to stay. I absolutely love it. I have so much lounge furniture that I have rented this year for my couples that it is not funny. I've never rented that much. And we are so excited for this one piece, this one little piece that really has made a really great splash and taught us all a little something.
Wonderful. Yes, I love it. They call it igloos. You can put your igloos here and there.
You're here to
and
stay.
Really have a yeah, something new, something fresh. Go ahead, Morgan.
Yes, I love that as well. I would add that one of the things that is so exciting to me, because of course I love small weddings and intimate weddings, but that couples are realizing that all weddings don't have to look the same. And whether that is a larger wedding or a small wedding, there's more formats that we're seeing popping up. People are choosing to do maybe an intimate ceremony and then have a big party. People are choosing to do something like a pop-up wedding experience, or do an adventure elopement on their own, or a destination affair. I think it's just really opened couples' eyes that they don't have to do the same thing their parents did or their friends did. They could do something that makes sense for them.
We're going to see all these little intimate micro weddings happening, but at the same token, I think we're going to see pretty even amount of big weddings of 200 plus happening once we're back in this, because it's been almost 2 years now where nobody's been able to have a micro wedding or a big wedding. So I think both are going to come back. And I think the micro weddings are going to come back in a really big way, in way of design. Like, people are going to be able to customize every little detail, from the design to what people are going to eat and how they are going to eat it with a micro wedding. And I think that's going to be something that we'll see in the future.
The way that I like to define a micro wedding is actually 30 guests and under. There are differing views in the industry that say 50 and under. I personally say 30 because I think that 50 is just a small wedding, and you probably want to do the same things as if you had 150 guests. So it can vary a bit, but definitely 30 and under is what a micro wedding should be categorized as. And I think, Jacqueline, you have that totally right. I really think that what the beauty of this is that there were many couples who were doing micro weddings and intimate weddings previously. They just didn't really know it was an option. And now couples know it's an option. So there are going to be couples who absolutely want the big, huge blowout affair, and they should do that. And then there's couples who are thinking, I never wanted that, and I didn't know a small thing was an option. So now that it's an option, that's what we want to do. So it really, I think, is just going to continue to grow.
It's going to be 2 wedding seasons coming up. I'm from Toronto, Canada. We're in a 3rd wave right now. Everything is completely locked down. right? So really and truly, it's one of those things where it really depends geographically where you're going to be. So having and connecting with those local artists, they are so brilliant and so good at what they do, and engaging those folks, or having conversations with your event planner, like these two amazing ladies on, all three of you on the screen right now. If you have a trusted event professional, ask them what they think, because your wedding is going to be different than your neighbor's wedding, than the person down the street's wedding, right? So it really does have to do with the couple. And I think it is very prudent, because as an entertainment provider in a major metropolitan, not to discount the idea that you can have a hybrid wedding, right? So for example, so in Toronto, Canada, we're so blessed. We have so many different people from all over the world, but just say half of your family or half of your guests are from Brazil. They're not coming over right now, right? So why don't you design a hybrid experience so that you could do something online with, the digital side, and have something that you can have with your guests in person, with who is allowed, and of course, according to public regulations. So not discounting the idea of a virtual element or a hybrid component, certainly, and there are so many great ideas, which I'm definitely going to make sure I speak to specifically in my workshop, in the workshop session.
And it's so wonderful to see wedding professionals and planners coming up with such creative solutions for our couples to make sure that it still feels like a party, right? We're there to celebrate, and we want it to still be fun. We're not there with, a measuring stick trying to make sure everybody's far apart. We want to make it as organic as possible. So I think having a professional really help you incorporate those things is so wonderful. And, for us, just rethinking what you have to do at a wedding and what that means. And so maybe it is having your groups go to different areas at different times. Maybe one person is, a group is having dinner, a group is having some sort of cocktail or dessert experience. You really can just play around with the day. And I just like to think outside the box. And if we had no rules for weddings, which I don't think there really are any, that what would you actually do with that?
I think certainly, to add to both of what the ladies just shared, in Canada, we have something called CCOs and CCAs, COVID compliance officers and COVID compliance advisors. And even just spending the money to have an hour with an expert who can really advise on all of those items. I know that we have a very extensive duty of care in our SOPs and our standard operating procedures with our company. So when a performer goes on site, everything from the prep all the way to the actual execution to post-event and so on and so forth, all the sanitation practices, these are really important things that obviously you're going to want to become aware of, but then also be able to have those conversations with your planners, with any of your suppliers, so that you are looking after the duty of care piece on your side. And so making sure you have vendors like everybody on the screen here who really do have that all in mind, so that they've got your back, basically.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Acute Inflections.
Fast colors and promises. How to be brave? How can I love when I'm afraid to fall for watching you stand alone? All of my doubts suddenly goes away somehow. One step closer, I have died every day, waiting for you, darling, don't be afraid. I've loved you for 1,000 years, I love you for 1,000 more. So keep us in mind for your special day. No matter where it may be, we'll come to you and we'll customize your first dance, your walk down the aisle, your procession, or whatever you'd like to be, 'cause you like match with your color scheme too. And pink, yes, there may be a wedding that might get Sadiq to wear a pink tuxedo.
Yeah, we just had a request for a pink tuxedo and a pink base, and we turned it down. So there are some limitations. I'm not doing that.
We're not painting the face, but we will at least.
I might wear a pink bow tie, or
Yeah,
we're
we'll
gonna negotiate.
Find a compromise. Keep us in mind, yes, for your special day. We'll come back real soon with another special tune for you. So see you in a bit. Enjoy the rest of the expo. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. It's so lovely to see you here, and I am so very excited to be with you this evening. Thank you so much for taking your time, and my promise to you is that I'm going to give you value for being with me this evening. So once again, my name is Julie Danilov, and I am a CSEP, and I am also one of the co-founders of A2D2 Aerial Dance Cert Company based out of Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. And I am so excited today because we're going to be talking about entertaining ideas for your wedding celebration. And so it's going to be a little bit different probably than what you're used to, but there's definitely lots of information in here that I am going to impart. And what I would just say and preface this whole discussion with you is I just want to say I'm going to give you a buffet of choices. So when you walk into a buffet, do you eat every single thing that is presented to you? No, right? You're going to pick and choose the things that may be appealing and so on and so forth. You'd never go through the whole buffet and eat absolutely everything. It's the same with this. So I'm going to be sharing with you some entertaining ideas, things that are great for virtual events, hybrid events, and also in-person event friendly. Totally depending, of course, on where you are, where your wedding is happening. You're going to have consultations with the local folks in your actual area where these events are taking place, 100%. But having said this, I hope some of what we've shared with you today is going to be able to give you some ideas. So whether you are speaking with us because we're the ones that you've engaged for your wedding entertainment, or you're speaking to your local entertainment provider, just definitely a buffet of ideas for you today. So we have, let me just explain a little bit about A2D2 before we jump in. So A2D2 Aerial Dance Cert Company was founded 12 years ago by myself, Julie, and my two amazing sisters and business partners, Elisa and Samantha. And we absolutely love the arts and entertainment world. In fact, we were raised by two musicians, if you can even imagine. So that beautiful musical interlude that we just heard from Acute Entertainment, that was our household when we were growing up. We had actually jazz musicians as parents, and they always worked the wedding market. They also did lots of large scale shows, corporate events, everything from orchestras to festivals and everything in between. So we were in an entertaining family, to say the least. And because of that knowledge and background, it really felt it prepared us to enter into the live events market as circus professionals and dance experts. So those are our areas of expertise ourselves. And we just really are committed to making ordinary events into extraordinary experiences. We are the people that when you show up at an event, you truly get the experience. And so it's really special because we like to call them sort of centerpieces or just focal points or inflection points in the wedding that make it so special and so beautiful. And people remember those types of moments forever. The thing is it's already COVID friendly, right? So usually you'll have one or two hoop artists that are on the stage at any given time. So this is amazing because it's either a solo or a duet. It's funny because actually all of our duets in A2D2 have been sisters, so same household and all of that, so all good. So this is a very, very important piece. Also, the other nice thing about silks is that you can have one, so solo, you can have two, as you can see on the screen, or three. But again, they're quite spaced out, so you can really do this in a beautifully socially distant manner, or you can just have that one centerpiece, and absolutely gorgeous. It's a really lovely way to entertain guests, especially if you're looking at in between any of the formalities. So when you're designing your wedding program with your wedding planner, you're going to want to really talk about pacing, right? Okay, so I promised more hoops, and here's another example of how you can use hoops integrated into your wedding day. So this is such a beautiful activation because those little sacks that you can see above where the performers have hanging at the top of their apparatus, those actually have rose petals in them. And so what the ladies are doing in this picture is they're throwing rose petals onto the couple for their first dance. And so this is absolutely gorgeous. You have the smoke machine, you have an absolutely spectacular synchronized activation, and you have the added benefit of those petals being thrown onto the couple. And a nice added touch is make it the couple's, like whatever the flowers are, whatever the floral color sort of scheme is, you can replicate that in your petals. And so it just ties in everything with that beautiful event design, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Very Cirque du Soleil-esque, but hey, these are unprecedented times, and so let's have an unprecedented celebration. So this apparatus is excellent. Again, in-person, hybrid. And the virtual event, absolutely, it can be done. You're going to have, some working out of what's happening on the in-person side, on the virtual side, but all totally figure outable, as we like to say in A squared D squared. Everything, you can figure it out. Okay, so that is the first dance suggestion with our aerial hoop. Whoops. Okay, let's just click down 1 second. There we go. Okay, amazing. Next, another beautiful activation for first dances is, of course, your live music entertainment. And so this is a huge part of our hearts, of course, because live music and Cirque, they just go so well together. But you can have them independently. So, for example, as you can see, this couple, they are being serenaded by a saxophonist. Oh my gosh, absolutely gorgeous.
This past year has been rough, especially for our couples. You might be scared of wedding planning now, thinking that anything that you are going to do now just might have to change. And that huge wedding that you were dreaming of, or that big party that you just thought that you would have, is maybe no longer possible. And I just don't want you to even think for a moment that having a small wedding is going to mean just waiting for that experience or throwing something away. Having a small wedding is amazing. It's actually my favorite thing. So I started doing small weddings because while I was planning larger weddings for years, I realized that my couples, a lot of them wanted something different. They wanted something intimate. They wanted an experience that they hadn't really seen before. The big wedding just didn't have any appeal to them, and they didn't know what else to do. So maybe they just didn't have a wedding. Well, that doesn't need to be the answer. There are so many couples who are perfect for an intimate wedding. So whether you have to have a smaller wedding or you really want to have a smaller wedding because that sounds much better to you, I am going to let you know how to do that. So what's an elopement wedding? An elopement wedding can be just a ceremony, or it can include plans for dinner, lunch, or even a breakfast reception after your ceremony. An elopement wedding is amazing because this term can any non-traditional wedding format. So whether you just want a ceremony or you want a ceremony and have plans afterwards, whether you want to run off to a mountaintop and get married there with just your significant other, or you want to have 25 friends and escape to a chateau in France for the week and have the most amazing time, all of those things are elopement weddings. And I'm going to dive in a little bit more about different wedding formats, but an elopement doesn't mean a throwaway wedding. It doesn't mean you have to go to a courthouse or to Vegas. An elopement wedding just means that it's a smaller wedding. And it's a smaller wedding that you don't have to do all the things that you thought you had to do at a wedding. And that is really great for a lot of couples. Let's talk about all of the brand new wedding terminology that's coming out, because you don't just need to do an elopement wedding. There are so many creative solutions that wedding professionals have put together, whether it was born out of the needs of last year or they were invented a while ago for couples just like you who didn't want a traditional wedding or couldn't have a traditional wedding, but wanted something else. There are many different ways that you can choose to have a small wedding. You are, and what resonates most with you as a couple, that is going to really determine the type of wedding that you want to have. So let's jump in here. The micro wedding is the new buzzword, right? You've heard it. We've all heard it. What the heck is a micro wedding? Well, a micro wedding is described as an intimate wedding for up to 50 guests. I actually am going to put a pause here because I think that small weddings in general should be for 30 guests and under. I think that because when you have over 30 guests, most likely your guests are expecting something that's more like a typical wedding, with a cocktail hour and a reception, speeches, dances, cake cutting. That's a regular wedding.
So my friends, the methods work. Let me share with you what they are. And my wish for you at tonight's event, because I know somebody might have put a ring on it. If you are going to be walking down the aisle soon, or canoeing down the aisle soon, or zooming down the aisle soon, I want you to have these techniques so that your relationship starts with an incredible foundation. I've created a 5-step process called the Ideal Love Method, and this is a method I would love to install into your relationship. Step 1 is where we take inventory. We take inventory of how happy and fulfilled you are at this moment with all of these parts of your relationship. How are you doing as a couple right now around appreciation, trust, respect? How about resiliency, peace and closure, forgiveness, sex and physical closeness, intimacy and romance, finances and how to divide them, share them, split them, spend them, or save them, love and kindness, division of labor, which, oh my goodness, so many couples fight about, spousal health, attraction to your partner, parenting if there's children involved, communication, fun, family values, beliefs, and more. So as you go through the 5-step Ideal Love Method and you're applying this to your relationship, imagine that in step 1, you're rating out of 10 how you're doing in your relationship at the moment for each of those areas. In step 2, the D is where we design the 2.0 version of your relationship and future marriage. How would you rather be doing in each of these areas right here? If you could paint a picture for me and your partner, what would a 10 out of 10 look like in all of these different categories? It's all part of the process to acknowledge where you are and where you want to go. Step 3 is where we eliminate the roadblocks. We've got to take note of what might be in your way as a couple. What factors within your relationship or pushing on it from the outside are sabotaging your happiness and your potential together? We will address what those roadblocks are, and we will find solutions to help you go forward confidently and peacefully. The A is where we build out an action plan. See, unlike therapy, where you're able to get things off your chest, which is so beneficial, coaching is where we do more than talk about it and get you inspired. We need to make some real plans, get into real action, get in the trenches, and do something about it.
Talk with your caterer about doing chef-run stations and making it interactive. How fun would it be for guests to watch a chef cook a fish, or to sear a steak, or to create a miniature appetizer? You know, I love going to restaurants and seeing the chefs bring out the meals and prep them and prepare them and plate them. It's always a wonderful interactive experience for me. So I love bringing that to my clients as well. And don't be afraid to push your caterer out of the box. Ask them, what is it that you will do to make this different, to make this stand out? Another great tip that you can do, especially now that we're in those COVID times, is those cheese stations are no longer really able to have the same feel, because you can't go up and you can't take the tong after tong after tong, because it's person after person. So it has to be structured. Create layers. How fun is it to duplicate all these different layers? So if you have cheese here, put another one up here, put another one down here, and then do a meat section and do different layers so that all the different families can come in and they each get to pick a section and take from it. One of the biggest things that we've done this year is we've used disposable clips. We've used disposable tongs. We've used disposable spoons. And it's really great because you just lay them out really nicely. Everybody can pick it up. They put it on their plate and then they just trash the disposable tong, or they keep it because they want to come back for seconds. And then you're not retouching that tong over and over, or the spoon to get that dip. So that's something that we have really tried to install in all of our clients this past year and this upcoming year. And Gracie, can you tell me how long I have? I started at 8:30. I think I have 5 minutes. Another great thing that you can do that we've really loved doing is, and trust me, I will say this as a caveat. We fully understand that masks are not something that you want to do at a wedding, but we actually have customized masks. So how fun is it for your guests to arrive and they have a little box waiting for them at their hotel, and in that little box is a custom face mask that has their embroidered initials on it. There are some really beautiful, inexpensive silk face masks out there that can embroider different initials or put the name. You could put your names. You could put glad you're here, celebrate, wedding, so many options. And put it in a little box with a little note that says, we're so glad you're here. We understand that masks are not the optimal solution, but we want to be safe and we want you to be safe. Here's a little gift from us to you.
I want to love you and treat you right. I want to love you. Yes, every day and every night we'll be together. Ooh, with the roof right over our heads, we'll share shelter. Oh my single bed, we'll share a single room. Yes, and John provide the bread. It's this love, it's this love, it's this love, it's this love that I'm feeling. Oh, it's this love, it's this love, it's this love, it's this love that I'm feeling. Oh.
So, just before we continue, a quick little story. Speaking of your wedding your way?
Yeah.
A few years ago, we had a couple from Australia that came to New York to get married, and they loved Bob Marley, and they loved that song in particular. And the bride wanted to walk down the aisle to it, but obviously it's a little fun and festive. So they're like, can you slow it way down and make it really groovy? So we never get to do that version of it. But tonight we will, since we get to choose whatever we're doing.
Just for you. I want to love you and treat you right. I want to love you every day and every night. We'll be together with the roof right over our heads. We'll share a shelter of a single bed. We'll share the same room. Oh, and John provide the bread. It's the love, it's the love, it's the love, it's the love and feeling.
Awesome, cute inflections as always. I love the Bob Marley Slow Down. Be sure to get their album when it comes out across all platforms called 400, which is a Bob Marley tribute album. You definitely want to have that. We have another amazing panel for you that's going to give you a wealth of knowledge for your big day. This time, the topic is tools for building a happy marriage. I know some people wish they would have had this prior to getting married, and COVID liability for your wedding.
Oh, I love this question. My friends, studies tell us that if you date your partner once a week, you will be 3.5 times happier. So I don't care how busy you are, and I know how busy you are because I've been married twice myself. But please take out 3 hours minimum a week and make it special. Don't talk about COVID. Don't watch the news. Don't talk about wedding planning. Don't talk about in laws, outlaws, children, or the blended family, or whatever has been stressing you out. Just be together. And on that date, make it special. Do your personal grooming just in case. You know what I'm saying? And don't wear your tattered pajamas, clean the dishes, and fall asleep to the same old Netflix show. Take it as an opportunity to connect, because why are you planning a wedding? Not just so you can wear a dress and a tux, because you love this person. They're your favorite person to hang out with, so please don't forget to hang out with them.
That as of right now, a good trend is the idea of requiring the guests to have been fully vaccinated, whether they have the one that's the one shot or the two shots plus a couple of days. And in one of the breakout sessions, there was a great advice on that would be included in your RSVP. Like, we accept we've been vaccinated, or we will watch from the sidelines because we have not been, that kind of thing. So I think that's would be number one. And then the other thing is, it's been talked about in other sessions. You can do pods or do things that will, try to keep your event safe, having it outside or trying to maximize the distance between people, but still making it personable, that kind of thing. But this is kind of like, as you all know, this is a moving target. I feel like we learn new stuff every day, and but just those are kind of the basics that I'm seeing. So for the most part, everybody is responsible for reasonable behavior. And if you are putting on an event, even though you're the couple and not the planner or the venue or whatever, if you're not acting reasonably, meaning that you know that you have a fever or that you haven't tasted anything in a few days, or if, Uncle Jesse is, sick or whatever, and you don't do anything to warn people or take reasonable steps, then it's possible that you might be a defendant in a lawsuit. So like I said before, it's just you try to do the best you can to act reasonably. Now, what is reasonably? You're right in the sense that it's possible that in your jurisdiction, your area, it's following the CDC guidelines. Perhaps in your jurisdiction, it might be a little bit more strict than that. There are some, as we know, we live in a federal experiment where some states probably believe that it's a hoax in general. In some other states and some other jurisdictions, it's pretty aggressive and trying to prevent the spread. So your best bet is to do what obviously do what you think is right, but do what is reasonable within your jurisdiction. And I think that the baseline would be the federal CDC guidelines would probably be the safest thing.
Yes, adhering accordingly to what we know the government is putting out, letting the CDC give us that governing tool. And if you want to include some helpful tips, information as the wedding progresses, I say you're welcome to do it. Just know, liable for some things, but anybody, as you said, Rob, could be called in as a witness, as proxy. It is what it is. So be prepared for that as well. If you have those kinds of guests.
So many beautiful couples have a dynamic, interfaith, interspiritual relationship, and they don't know who they can go to as their marriage advisor. Gone are the days for most couples where they would do this through their, religious place, especially if they're like my marriage, where we're from a mishmash of different backgrounds. There was no one person that could take us through at church or synagogue how we were going to get ready for marriage. And the funny thing is, often who used to teach those classes might not have a wife and might not be able to have very much fun with that wife. So teaching a class on how to be successfully married, I'm just saying. So No, you don't need to be a troubled couple to invest in your happy union and spend just a couple hours learning the basic skills, hammering out all the communication techniques, and talking about the 20 parts of a healthy relationship before you go down the aisle. In fact, if you are a happy couple now, getting some marriage preparation training with a marriage mentor or a wedding planner who's become a marriage planner is so smart so you can stay happy together.
I have a question, Haley. So that was okay. So if the marriage is kind of like, or the pre-marriage is kind of like, it's a skill that you develop, or a muscle that you need to train. What are a couple of other things, like, aside from, I'm super interested in this. Like, what other than, like, hey, let's dedicate one night a week, trim the wherever you got to trim, or whatever it is. Like, other than that, what other stuff could couples that are about to get married think about in terms of strengthening that bond and actually working on that?
I love that question, Rob. I wish you were in my workshop, and I'll share
Eh.
just the content from a couple of those slides. So, my friends, there are 20 parts of a healthy marriage. And part of marriage prep is for you and your partner to actually talk about all these areas and come up with your vision. And they include appreciation, trust, respect, resiliency, peace and closure, forgiveness. I'll weigh in a little bit on that. My top suggestions for couples. Number one, every time your brain formulates a complaint about your soon to be spouse, tell your lips to make it a request. If something's bothering you and you want to start a statement with "you always" or "you never," please note that when you complain at your person who you love, they're either going to back up or come back at you, and you will never get what you want. So complaints start here, but out your mouth, make it a request, and state things in a calm and clear way. No digs, no guilt trips, no rehashing of the past. And number two, expectations are dangerous, especially when you've kept them in your own head. Mind reading is not one of the skills that I teach couples. And so if there's something you're hoping for in your marriage, don't hope up here and then get upset with your partner when it doesn't come true. Take the stuff up here and get it out in a supportive and assertive and friendly way before going down the aisle. You might have gender norms and biases that are very different. You might have assumed you would be joint financially and share division of labor and live in the country, and your partner's got a completely different secret idea. So talk about the stuff. If you need to have a friendly person there to hold space for you so it doesn't become a fight, many of us will do that for you and just keep the conversation straight and not going off track. But I encourage you to have the tough conversations in calm and kind ways before you go down the big day. It is easier now than it is later. Holding off won't make it any easier to solve the big stuff.
Put love in you, make my life change. Baby, add some color to my lifeless days. Or is this just a dread of a pain? A last resort to keep us safe. Do you care if I believe in a lie? When the truth is what makes me cry. Even if the same burns so wide, I think it's worth it to uncover our smiles. Give me all, baby. Give me all of you. Your madness, your brilliance, your stillness. I want you, baby. Give me all, baby. I won't run away from your passion, your fury, your worries. I want you, baby. Oh. Some people search for the fountain. Yes. That promises forever young. And some people need 3,000 roses, and that's the only way to prove you love them. Hand me the world on a silver platter, and what good would it be with no one to share, no one truly cares for me? Some people want it all, time